Hey everybody, and welcome to tonight's show. Sorry for the delay. We were working a couple of technical glitches out, but I think we got everything ironed out, and we're going to go ahead and go with the show. So again, real quick, everybody that's watching live, thank you for joining us. If you're watching live, do me a favor. In the comments, go ahead. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, go ahead and drop a comment and hit hashtag Team Live so we know that you're watching live. And if you're watching afterwards, just go ahead and drop in there hashtag Team Replay, and we'll go through and see your comments. Okay. Really do appreciate it. If you're watching live on YouTube, do us a favor. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. We're trying to build our viewership out there, and would really appreciate it. Or if you want to drop any comments, again, whatever you do, that it would be greatly appreciated. So tonight's show, I have a very special guest. She's a friend of mine. She's an oil painter who lives up in Roundup, Montana, of all places. It's a and whenever I started putting together this project, she was one of the few people that I first thought of. So I've had a few of those people already on, and again, if you guys don't know who she is, I'm going to introduce you to her. She's been painting for quite a while. She actually owns her own art gallery up in Roundup as well. And again, she's an incredible painter. So without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce you to my guest tonight, Coila. Hey,
Gabriel.
How are you doing this evening?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing very good. Now that we got everything a little bit worked out, I think we're ready to go. So real quick, one of the first things that I usually like to talk about whenever I have my guest on is just how we've, our relationship, how we met, how long we've known each other, just kind of introduce everybody. And then, like I said, we've been friends for a very long time. We actually went to high school together, and believe it or not, I think I've already had on 1, 2, 3 guests now that I went to school with. And we were talking about it last night with me and Eric, that there must be something in the Lancaster water that so many people came out of that small little town who've went out and lived out their creative art, their creative soul, and they followed their passion. And it's been a wonderful thing. And I've actually got there's like 2 or 3 more that I still want to interview, again, who went to the same high school. We were all roamed in the halls of Lancaster High School. And, I'm joining those people, those ranks myself. I'm trying to become a published author. I've expressed that a few times on most of the interviews. And, again, when you start talking about being a creative person, I always talk about, I call them creative souls, because most of these people, it doesn't have to deal with, having to just do art or any kind of painting or sculpting, or, again, like your husband, right? He's a contemporary artist who does woodwork. Is that correct?
It is correct.
Okay.
You've been doing some research.
Yeah, exactly. So that's part of the job, right? Is to see. Yep. And quick plug for him: if you go to www.blockhorsedesigns.com,
yeah, you're
and check
so
him
good.
out. His name is Troy Evans. He's pretty talented as well. And I don't know how you guys met, but that's got to be a pretty incredible pair for 2 people as artistic as you guys, because I really do enjoy some of his woodwork.
Thank you.
And okay, let's go ahead and start with you, though. This is what this interview is about, and I've gone off the thing. So, first question that I want to know personally that I put on there: how did you end up in Roundup, Montana, of all places?
Well, it's a bit of a story. I'll try to give you the short of it.
Okay.
But I was living in Florida at the time. Actually, I lived in Orlando for about 7 years. And my mom is originally from Billings, which is about 50 miles away from Roundup. So I came to visit my grandmother. And during that time, I think I arrived and I saw my Aunt Christine, and she got this message from this man, from this person named Troy Evans. And she listened to this message, and I was like, who is that? And she told me all about him. I said, well, he sounds so interesting. I think I'd like to meet this person. And I was in town for 5 days. And we ended up going on 3 dates. And on that third date, I knew, I was like, he is the one for me. And so let's see, I think within a year we were married. We met August 22nd.
Oh, wow.
And we were married September 3rd the following year. So it went pretty quick. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. So just a small little visit up something can do something as big as change your life, right?
Yeah. It's kind of amazing how that's happened. So we've been married it'll be 15 years this year. And
congratulations. That's pretty awesome to be together that long.
Good.
So, okay, let me go to my next question real quick. So, which is, so when did you realize that you wanted to start, realize that you wanted to start pursuing your passion in painting and making it as going into it as a career? I mean, did it start out as just a hobby, or did you know that that's what you wanted to do?
Well, it first started when I was a little girl living on Telephone Road in Lancaster. And it was kind of out in the country. And I used to make artwork on these little paper plates, and I had a whole series. It was a repeating series of rainbows and clouds and birds. And I tried to sell those little suckers out of my yard for about 25 cents a piece.
Hey, you were an entrepreneur long before you knew it, right?
Yes. So, but I always had a great interest in it. Naturally, in high school, I wanted to pursue that, and then for a lot of years, I didn't. And there were a variety of reasons for that. But I didn't pursue art until I moved here to Roundup. And I think because my husband is a woodworker and an artist, and being in that world, it really helped give me a little bit of space to welcome that back into my life. And with his encouragement and support, and the support of so many, I've gotten to do that. But it did start off kind of part-time. I really didn't believe in myself that I could do it. I did it, but I didn't believe in myself for a really long time. And so to get to the real point of it, 2015, I did a big fundraising event. I thought, gosh, if I'm going to be a painter, I need to know what it's like day in and day out to do this. So I wanted to go to New York and study for 2 weeks. And with this Russian painter named Ilya Morochnik and Dacha Gallery that's there. And so I did this big fundraising campaign, and I did 50 paintings in 50 days to get there. And after that, that pretty much changed everything for me. And I was like, this is what I have to do. So I've been actively pursuing a full-time painting career for 5 years.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I think that's the jump that as anybody who wants to be creative, we all have to make, is just to throw ourselves out there. Because waiting for the right opportunity, right moment, the perfect moment to start doing things, the stars are never going to align. So you got to go out there and make things happen for yourself. So again, I think that's a story that's been resonating with a lot of the people that I've been interviewing. Is the same kind of thing. I just had to go out there and start trying it. We had a conversation yesterday, and I was just asking about doing movies, and he just said we put it together on a whim, and it worked out for him, which is, again, now putting yourself out in the universe, and things start opening up for you. That seems to be a pretty repetitive theme that I'm hearing, and it gives me a lot of inspiration and hope, because that's what I'm doing now. It's just throwing myself into the wild and chasing whatever passion that I'm trying to do right now. So,
and here you are.
Exactly. This is one of the challenges that I did, because I had originally planned to just do a regular audio podcast. So that I would have had time to do everything together. I would have had time to edit if I didn't like certain things, or But then I started talking to a friend, and he was the one that suggested, why don't you try just doing live streaming? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I don't know if I have the technical capabilities and everything. No, it's so easy. So he walked me through the process, and I started thinking about it, giving it a hard think, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to try it. I mean, if nothing else, it'll be a good learning experience to walk away
Mhm.
from if I want to try something else in dealing with video and audio, kind of the the video audio medium. So what do you so to say? So
Mhm.
it's something that I, again, trying to preach to everybody that I start talking to now. Whenever we start talking about life, goals, passions, just throw yourself out there because incredible things start happening. Um,
Agreed.
so going back to you, I'm sorry, I ramble a little bit, but that's one of the things I'm working on. So
I do
uh,
too. So
I think so.
yeah,
Okay.
everybody is like, oh, yeah.
Okay. So one of the things is when you got into painting and you really started taking it seriously. Who was one of your real influences, or who was the early influence in your life as far as like deciding what kind of painting, or who did you like want to either mimic or uh, try to create a style, sort of, you know, like for example, Bob Ross, I guess, is somebody. Because
Not
like for
Bob
me,
Ross.
well,
I love him, but no.
no, along those lines, because every
Yeah.
writer, I have a favorite writer, and when I first started reading his stuff, that kind of said, that inspired me to go want to write, to do a book, to go do out there and try it myself. So, um, again, who would you say, if there's any, had an influence on you in your developing your style? You
Good question. So there's a few, and it's changed over time, and now it's circling back. So there's so many great artists. It's hard to choose, but I love Salvador Dali. He's a realist painter, surreal. He's a surrealist painter, and I first learned about him in high school. And I am kind of circling back to him because some of the work I'm going to go on to do is incorporating things that don't necessarily make sense, like ballerinas in the landscape,
yeah.
and I have a few other things that I'm working on that I'm not ready to talk about yet because it takes me a while to develop like how I'm going to talk about it. So Rembrandt is amazing. I love all the layers of his work. When you look closely at his work, he paints on copper. He's been an influence. And yeah, there you go. There's my ballerina in the landscape. Thank you for putting that on. And so, I would say that's got to be partly because of Salvador Dali, like having that imagination in that way. So I I had a teacher. He's still living. His name's Max Ginsberg, and he has really impressed upon me to pursue more realism. I'm not a hyper realist. I don't know if I'll ever be that, but like to convey a message. He feels that it's important to be able to paint in a realistic way, and I think that's true. I agree with that. So that's what I'm pursuing right now. So Salvador Dali is a big influence. I love Rembrandt. And I love Fechin, Nikolai Fechin. He's a Russian painter. Um, and of course, like Ilya Morochnik and Max Ginsberg and Johanna Harman are all people that I've learned from. And they have been great influences on me as well.
Okay, cool. That's that. Again, that's whenever you start doing your creative journey like that, you try to find people who, that you think that kind of touch you, feel you understand their works a lot better. Same thing with me. Whenever I was reading a lot of books, I found certain writers who I really took to their styles of writing, just because of the way that they were able to express themselves, the way that they were able to develop characters. So, each as an artist, you find those people in your life, and you go, man, that's somebody who's, I'm going to be the next him, or I'm going to be the next me, but they're probably comparing me to him because he was somebody who influenced me as a creator. So next question that I got for you is, how did you take the next step into deciding to open up your own art gallery? That's an interesting little decision to make as an artist.
Well, so another good question. During that time, I've been painting for a lot of years, but during that time, the opportunity to purchase a building happened for me. So this opportunity became available. My husband Troy really encouraged me to pursue it, and everything just fell into place. The person who owned it, made it very doable. The bank helped me. So anyway, all those things. And I was having a full-time massage business. I was booked up like 8, 12, 16, sometimes 16 weeks in advance, 5 days a week, 3 to 5 clients a day. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
And so that was in the summer of 2014.
Yeah.
And in that December of 2014, I was like, I want to go to New York. And Troy's like, what? I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I gotta, he's like, you're doing massage. I'm like, I think I need to pursue painting. But the gallery part of it came to be, and I think that's how the painting part of it came to be, that I sat in this building one night and I looked out, and for years I've said, I want there to be an art presence in Roundup. And when you get a building and you can do anything you want with it, and you have said something for so long, and you're like, well, what am I doing massage if I want an art business? And luckily, this building is not that private. There's not any interior doors. And when I for whatever reason, I thought there was, and there was not. So it's not really conducive to a massage business at all. So it has developed from there. And now I'm actually scaling back the gallery business because my studio is in here, my art studio, and I need more space. I've been doing lots of goal setting, and I have a lot of panels, and they're all allocated for. So now I've just got to keep my head down and work.
That's the goal, though, right? You want to be able to create and share what starts out in your mind, and people, be as receptive to it, and they're like, man, I love your art. Again, hope for me, same thing. It's, if I become a writer, it's just putting my book out there. I mean, I create, you create it just for yourself. I create, if I put my book out there and if it doesn't sell, that'll be fine with me. I mean, I hope it will, but it'd be fine with me, just because it's been a goal of mine, a dream of mine, to actually accomplish that. And so whenever you're in that, in that mind state of just wanting to be a creator and have you express yourself, I think it's not so much about just chasing the money as it is exposing the world to your soul, your art, and that's what I hope, as my journey goes along, it's just kind of like doing this show here, is that it reaches out to people. It reaches beyond just being me. So, and again, this will be on the internet for, I don't know, years to come. YouTube videos will be there. Maybe one day my children, once I'm gone, will go, oh man, you remember those videos Dad used to do? Let's go watch them. And there's, there'll be something left behind me. A little piece is all I'm trying to do, is just spread myself into the world a little bit. Yeah. So I got one more question for you. That whenever you create, what is the process that's used to start from, an idea in your mind to an actual finished painting? I mean, how does the process start for you whenever you create a new piece of work?
Well, I get different ideas and I write them down, and some of them are constantly in my brain. So like that little raven you showed, that's the second time I painted him, but I have an idea for a painting, but I have to orchestrate it. I need to do a photo shoot. And so I start like that. I start small. People that know me know that I'm kind of slow, but I'm slow to take action. I'm slow because I want to develop an idea. And maybe some could say I take too long in that department, but I think for some important ideas, for me, I don't want to act too quickly. I really want to take my time and develop it because it will be out in the world forever. And then currently, part of my process is I just draw directly on the panel. So, like, once I have the idea, I'm just drawing it directly on the panel. A lot of people will do sketches in a sketchbook, and I do keep a sketchbook, but a lot of times the original drawing is my favorite drawing, and it's more difficult for me to transfer it. So that's kind
So
of like a practical approach, and then writing a lot. I like to
yeah.
write things down.
So yeah. Again, so you same same kind of process, I guess, when you want to write. Except if when you're writing a book or say a story, you kind of outline it a little bit. Because I've always had the this is just me, just a misconception in my mind that artists just pick up a paintbrush and go, and it just starts coming out. I see like these YouTube videos of guys who create like these pretty impressive paintings with just splashing paint here and there, and I go, wow, how in the heck do they do that? That's pretty neat, but I guess there is a process to it as far as laying out how you're going to put certain colors here and there. I mean, again, it's different. It's a whole different mindset from, like when I write, because I guess I like to operate a little bit more structured.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, and I was talking to Eric yesterday, and he said saying he just likes to sit down and write. And again, it works a different creative processes. That's why I ask everybody about how do they approach their craft? How do you approach, it's like actors. Some actors are method actors, right? They'll go into, oh, I got to get deep into the character, and they really immerse themselves. And then you got people who can just turn it on like a light switch. And I go, wow, our minds work so differently. And it's in the end, the end product works out the same. But that's why I started wanting to do this, is just to go out and ask, different artists, different writers. I'm trying to book a musician now, because that's one of the ones that I'm real curious about, because again, when you create music, when you create a new sound, when you create, I want to know what the process goes like. And again, me trying to figure all this out, and having people like you come on here kind of helps funnel how I focus, the way I create and I write. And it gives me new ideas, new perspectives, how to look at doing certain things. So, every show that I've done, I take a little bit of notes and stuff down away from it that, going forward, I hope will help me as far as me develop as a writer, because I can take certain things, certain approaches, even though they're different types of art. The process is still can break down to be a lot of the same things. It's just people have different ways of going about it. So I'll write stuff down. So that's pretty interesting. That's the way she does that. Okay, cool. And I'll make my little notes. So real quick too, as well, I'm going to give you a quick plug. Guys, if you want to check out a lot of Coila's work, you can go to her website. It is www.coilaevans.com. You can check it out. She's got a real nice webpage. She has, I believe she has paintings there that are up for sale. Is that correct?
I do. There's a few on there.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you guys would like to go there and take a look at them, I mean, I'm pretty sure she'll be able to explain it a little bit better than me. But again, is there anything you want to mention about any of those paintings that you have up right now?
Well, one of them that's on the website is this one. the horse painting, and she's called
Oh,
Matriarch in the Pasture. She's already sold, but she gets to stay here
oh,
until the person is finished paying for it,
yeah,
and then it can go home with her. But I'm starting to put up more work regularly, so stay tuned in for that. My Instagram account is attached to my website, so you
yes,
can, and I'm very active on Instagram, and so you
yeah,
can go follow my stories and see what I'm up to, and see what paintings are available. Some of them go to Montana Gallery. That's a gallery that represents me. It's about 50 miles away, so I'm
yeah.
not driving down there all the time, but they have my Lady Longhorns and my ballerinas. I love
Okay,
those. So they're showing in Billings right now. Um,
that's pretty awesome because a lot of my personal favorites when you were doing this in your Frida Kahlo phase,
mhm,
because I'm just enamored with her and the story of Diego Rivera.
mhm.
They were always so when you started painting those, I was like, oh man, those are really awesome. I said, whenever you post it, so I still have one of them set as like on my background on my computer because
Oh, thank you.
I just really liked it.
Mhm.
It kind of showed the personal aspect of these two complicated artists, and it was a beautiful story between these two people. And I love seeing those kind of I love seeing that kind of love and people who share the same passions in life. Uh, enjoying it. You capture those moments, and
Mhm.
they stay there forever. And you know, I was sad to see most of them go because I said at one point I would hope to buy one day. Maybe I still can. I'll maybe the original owner now who owns it might put it up for sale one day. I'll be able to find it because it's one the particular one that I'm looking for that I really like.
Which one
Uh,
was it?
it was him and her. I think it's called
Sugar
um,
Kisses.
Sugar Kisses.
Yeah.
Yes, that was one of my
Yep.
favorites. That was a
I
good one.
love I love that one too. Those are little studies. So that I do that a lot. I work small, so it's part of my process. So like I do little like 6x8s, like that bird that you showed, and but those little ones are, I think those are 5x7s. So I do a lot of little studies to see if I want to develop them and make them into bigger paintings. And so I I will always do those and make them available. They're a little bit more, I frame them differently and they cost more than they did back then, but I love that series also. And coincidentally, so I have a friend who's a writer, and she's an she's an aspiring writer, and she writes and she gets published in different publications. But during that time, she wanted to do NaNoWriMo, and I said, well, if you want to do NaNoWriMo, I'll do paintings with you
Oh,
every day. Yep. And so that's how those came about, because all through the month of November, as you know, was
yeah.
it National
That,
November Writers
yeah.
Month? So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's NaNoWriMo is what it is, and
Oh,
it's I've done it a few times myself.
mm-hmm.
It's pretty interesting to do, uh, because it's a very interactive way to try to write. So you got storyboards that you go to. You connect with other writers. It's a good way to network with other creative writers. And you know some of the people that I've met on there, I'm still friends with. So um, again, and the whole purpose is to try to write a novel in a month. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and it's the goal. And believe it or not, some people I've seen people accomplish more than the goal because it's like they set a goal like 50,000 words is the goal for the month, which doesn't seem like a lot until you like sit down and actually go, okay, I'm ready to write, and then your mind goes blank and there's nothing there, and then you go. So again, it's plus you feel like you're like, man, I'm trying to finish in 30 days, which was hard. It's pretty hard to do. I mean, that's how really and truly how I got my first book started, was taking on that. Somebody had actually mentioned to me like a year and a half ago, say, hey, have you ever done a national write a novel month. I was like, what is that? They explained it to me, and I went in there and started researching it. I said, that's a pretty cool concept. They do it every November, right? And I said, yeah. So I signed up for it and I started writing my book, and that's where the outline and everything else developed for it. So, uh, you know, certain things like that, they do help you kind of push yourself along. And at that time in my life, I really needed that. That's what I wanted to do. So again, this here, what I'm doing with the live streaming and everything else, it's just another creative aspect to who I want to become ultimately as a person.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm taking on quite a bit, because I figured that's the only way that I'm going to force myself to do what I want to do in life. So that's why I'm writing a book. I have a goal for 3 books this year, 3. So it's pretty
That's
lofty.
huge.
It's pretty lofty. Yes, it is. But again,
And you're doing live streams like on the regular.
yes. And then on top of that, I'm actually doing a side podcast with a co-host, and we're going to be talking about mental health of all things.
Mm-hmm.
It's something we just started talking about, and we both were very interested in it. So we put a little thing together, and we actually start recording next. I'll be doing a weekly podcast. I'll be doing the live streaming here. I'm planning to try to do for 5 nights in a week. So tomorrow I will just be talking myself online, because the guest that I had lined up actually had something come up, so they had to cancel.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that's what happens with doing live streaming and stuff. So whatever comes along. And again, I try to get on here just to have a little fun. I get to connect with interesting people, and for me, the first few weeks have been pretty fun, because I get to connect with old friends that I haven't seen and talked to in a very long time. I mean, we do conversate, we've had conversations, but something a little bit different to seeing somebody's face and saying hello and talking,
Mm-hmm.
and just taking it all in. And it takes you back to a lot of nostalgia, and back to being in high school and doing those type of things, and you remember what it was like to have a mind full of wonder, and just know that the world can be whatever you want it to be. So that's kind of what my journey's been like, as far as start doing this, and again, taking on all these other projects. It gets a little hectic, and then on top of that, I'm a father of 4, so trying to be a dad, and the kids love it too, because I try to take this and like get my daughter involved in it. She had an interest in it, so she's you guys can't see her, but she's my technical director. So
Is she the one changing all the little banners?
Yeah, she's doing everything else behind the scenes, and she helps me get everything set up. So she has an interest in it, and I told her, well, sweetheart, if you start now, who knows, it could turn into a career for you if you really love it. So
there you go.
Just like my other daughter, she's been doing her paintings, right? And then I still have to go.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go buy her some more canvases, because the ones that I have, she's already used them all.
She's prolific. I know you showed me some of her work. It's nice. Tell her to keep it up. Get her to paint on. Get some watercolor paper for her to paint on, and those can be her studies.
She has. She does. Not only does she do watercolor, but she also does. She takes markers, and so she does markers, and she'll sit there and she has the patience for it to sit there and color it the way that she wants, exact way in her mind. And then she'll come back here and she'll show me. Now I've got them like sticking all around my desk right there where my computer is. So again, I tell her, keep going, sweetheart. I'll, whatever your passion is, follow it, man. And I want to be that dad to help push them and do that, because I know Frank Canello. We brought him up, but both of his kids, they're both in music, and they have a passion for it.
And they're good at it.
And they're good at it, exactly. And he pushes them into, not being like over pushy, but he gets involved.
He's supportive.
Yes. And I've mentioned to it. I've mentioned it to him a couple times. Said, man, I said, you're an inspiration to me, bro, because just the way what you're doing with your kids, that's what I want to do. That's the kind of father that I aspire to be like as well. And he says, well, I just love my kids, and I'll do whatever I have to. And I said, ain't nothing more beautiful than that, my friend. I really do enjoy it. So I've talked to him about interviewing his pair. So hopefully soon I'll have both of them on, because I follow his daughter as she's progressed as an artist now.
I know that he used to do those live streams, and she was just like 15. Or I would
Yes.
always tune in. She's sitting on the stool at I can't think of the restaurant, but I think in Frisco.
Yes.
Well, they lived in Chicago for a while, and now they're in Dallas. Now they're back in Texas. But yeah, I've been tuning into her live stream for a lot of years. So good job, Frank.
Yes. So if you're watching Mr. Nella, he has been a couple nights, and he's even been posting. I'll be getting in contact with you about that. We've had a few preliminary discussions about it. And again, this has been a forum for me to introduce a whole lot of different people to a lot of people that I know who I watched closely in my life, and seen them progress as artists and people. And it's wonderful for me to have this ability to go out and say, look, hey man, I have a friend, she's a painter, and I always talk about you like that. She's a painter, you ought to check her out. And now I actually have the ability to say, let me expose you to her. Let me show who she is, because again, to me, she's very talented. Same thing with like when I talked with Eric yesterday, we were talking, I said, he's a very eccentric personality, but his writing is incredible. A lot of the stuff that he does is incredible. And then,
it all matches up.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I said, and I tell these guys, hey, now that I have this ability, and I do this, and as I grow my audience, whenever you guys have something that you want to, talk about, you want to, put out to the world, you want to publish, you want to premiere something, whatever it is, I said, my forum is open to you anytime, because these guys have been supportive in my life early on, even behind the scenes. So I'm all I can do is extend my gratitude to a lot of these people, because they've helped me finally start doing what I want to do in life, and they've ushered me on to, hey, keep going, keep pushing, keep even whenever you were in these dark areas and you don't know what you want to do, and questioning a lot of things and having a lot of self-doubt about yourself. That's one of the things that I've learned that you got to get past, right? It's just getting past the self-doubt, getting past the fear. Even like, one of the big inspirations I'm going to tell everybody, because you led me there, was when you introduced me to the War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. That was, I learned about resistance, and I heard the whole. I bought the next day. I bought the audiobook, and I was like, oh man, this is what I need. Because he understands. This is incredible. I said, yeah, it is, right? You listen to it and you go, okay, it speaks to me. It goes, it's like he was talking to me, nobody else. And it felt like a one-on-one coaching session. So I was writing down notes. Okay, awesome. This is what he's saying, and then you made two. I'm sorry, you made two really monumental book suggestions to me that made. I don't know. It's been out there for a while, but The Alchemist was also another one, and man, that was the first one that even got me started in
Santiago. Yes. I named my horse Santiago.
That's awesome.
So I don't forget. Stay on your personal legend.
Yes. Yes. So again, if anybody hasn't checked that book out, please do. It's a very, very, and I loved it even better because I did listen to the audiobook, and Jeremy Irons was the one that did the narration, and man, I love his voice, everything about it. So I've heard it 2 or 3 different times already. So I do love that book.
Both of those books, I listen to them. The Alchemist, I think I listen to once or twice a year, and I do that like when I'm feeling doubtful, like when I'm feeling insecure or, just doubtful. And like, it reminds me like just to keep having the faith because you're on this path for a reason. So like, okay, take me, like, let's keep going. And then, yeah, the war of art and fear, like those two, those are pretty serious for me. I listen to
Yeah.
those like once a year.
Yeah. And then, I listened to, I just listened to Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell. And that one was that's a pretty interesting little book as well, because it kind of puts you in a mindset of questioning a few things about life.
Mm-hmm.
Just
I've got that on my list.
Yeah. So there's quite a few. I have a few, but those are a few of my favorites now. And I have you to thank for introducing me to them, because when you made the suggestion, I was like, well, let me check these out. And, I'm a regular, I consume books a little bit differently now, just because I have a lot of time while on my other job. I drive. So I can consume a book in, day and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So I get to soak in all this different and new content all the time. So and all it does is just help me grow as a person, and the way I listen to everything. I always take notes. I always write down little ideas. So I have like my composition book that I take with me, and I'll have folded pieces of paper in here where I just start writing down notes and stuff where I'm listening to something. I go, oh man, I gotta remember that. So I go through, and it's just a whole process of trying to create. And I just can't get rid of those kind of things, because I think, hey, that's the idea that I needed. I already wrote it down somewhere. Let me go back and look for it. And then I just, I have tons of just like scrap paper, notebooks that I've started writing in, books that I don't write in anymore, that I've collected over the years. So again, guys, real quick, check out Koala's website. It's www.koalaevans.com. Follow her on Instagram. She's real heavy on there, at Koala Evans. And you can also check out at her at Koala Evans Gallery. And I think you said that's the www.montanagallery.net is one of the other ones that represents. And then quick plug for your husband again. It's check out Troy Evans. He's at www.blockhorsedesigns.com. Two very talented people, and I'm glad to call them friends. So on that note, everybody, I really do appreciate. Thank you again for joining me tonight, Koala.
Thanks for having me on.
I tell everybody, I hope to have you on again. I plan on it. And, I'll be keeping in touch, just because I always do. I always try to keep those personal relationships going, because even though we're not close anymore, we're not close in proximity, we still can be friends. And thanks to social media and all these other different social media platforms and outlets, so you can communicate with people. So, again, you have no excuse to not reach out to that one person.
It's true.
Phone call, video, text message. I'm pretty sure there's somebody waiting to hear from you. So again, thank you, everybody. Tomorrow night, there'll be no guests. It'll just be me. I'll be doing my own little talking engagement here. I have a few ideas to talk about, things I'm going to talk about. And then quick plug for Thursday night. Thursday night, I have a friend that I made. We connected on LinkedIn. Her name is Wendy Gahulia, and she is a kindness ambassador. So what she does is she's went out and made a kindness app for kids. So it teaches kids, little kind things that they can do to bring a joy to somebody's lives. And she's also written a few children's books as well. So she goes out and she does book readings at schools and stuff. So, she really has it in her heart to try to teach kids and teach people, adults as well, what it like just to be a little kindness, how it can change somebody's life, and opening a door,
That sounds interesting.
thing. Yeah, she's a really cool person. We've met and we've had a few discussions. So we're going to talk. And she also created she also created an app for adults as well. It's a kindness app, so you can download it on your phone through the Google Play or through Apple, the iTunes store, and it gives you like little hints and reminders of things you could do that might spread a little joy in somebody's day. And in the end, that's what life is all about. Just living a happy life and showing everybody a little kindness. So there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Right.
All right. Well, everybody, again, let me go ahead and end the show. Thank you for jumping on tomorrow night. It'll just be me. See y'all tomorrow night. Thanks again.
Thank you, Gabe.
And podcast girl. There you go.